Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi, and we missed you guys. It's been a long time since we've done a show, it feels like.
Much has happened.
Yeah, we felt like we wanted to do a show Saturday, and then for whatever reason, the game's just not being broadcast locally.
It's Bill Wirtz's call.
What year is it? What year is it?
But you know what? In the long run, I'm glad none of us actually had to watch that kick in the dick for 3 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. If you notice, my background's a little different. I am in my parents' basement, throwing it back to the early days of podcasting. Everybody's got a blog in their parents' basement. Yeah. So I'm Xfinity let me know last week. By the way, on Monday, you will have no internet all day. We're doing some work in the area, so I had to book Studio Z, we'll call it, Studio Zawaski in my parents' basement. So we're going to get to our season predictions. That means division, conference, and Stanley Cup. We've got some player props we want to go over, some Blackhawks-specific ones, of course, and we'll throw some Alex DeBrincat ones in there, too, because those are fun to remember. And we're going to start with some news. The Hawks made a trade this weekend. They made a waiver claim today. And the Hawks brought in a couple veteran players. So, fellas, your quick reaction to the Riley Stillman I keep forgetting his name, Jason Dickinson.
Yeah,
Jason Dickinson was a trade with Vancouver. The Hawks also got a second-round pick in that trade to take on what amounts to $1.3 million in salary difference in the trade. That's the sort of stuff to be looking for. Getting those draft assets 2023. This one's for 2024. Kyle Davidson is stocking up on draft picks, and they can be used for picks or for trades or whatever, but draft capital is never a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Riley Stillman, and I think we all pretty much assumed that he was going to be in and out of the lineup, 6th, 7th defenseman. He was rotated pretty much all last season. And, I mean, Jason Dickinson comes in. I mean, it's a depth move. It seems like, paired with what the Blackhawks did today with claiming Jared Tenorti, seems like what they're doing is putting a lot of depth veteran NHL players as just a buffer zone between the bottom of the NHL lineup and the top of the AHL lineup, i.e. all of the young defensemen and Lucas Reichel, basically, that they want to develop in Rockford. They're padding that space because it seems to me the Blackhawks want all of their up-and-coming young players, all of their promising prospects that are in Rockford to be far away from this Blackhawks team. And whether that is a mixture of the results that are being expected and what may or may not be going or could go on in the locker room when things, start to go bad, who knows? But it really seems like they are just going to have all their young kids play in Rockford as much as possible and have the depth of, veteran forwards and defensemen who are not going to screw up the tank play in those positions if there's an injury or whatnot. So you get rid of Stillman, who bring in Dickinson, you claim Tenorti. All in all, you get another pick out of it, a 2nd-round pick for Riley Stillman, and taking on just over $1 million in cap space. Like, that's great. That's a great job by Kyle Davidson.
No doubt.
Yeah, well, Stillman was a guy Friday night after the Minnesota preseason game. We were discussing might be the odd man out at some point, and then sure enough, 24 hours later, he's gone. And he's a nice kid, decent player, but he's not. He wasn't a KD Kyle Davidson acquisition. Kyle Davidson didn't sign him that 2-year extension. Not saying that's why he made the trade, but man, it's hard to disprove that theory that he wants to get rid of everybody that he who shall not be named has his stink on. So another, file that under that file if you want. Giving up a 2nd-round draft pick to clear $1.3 million in cap space, that is bad general managing.
That's really bad.
And it's nice to see it happening on the other side of these transactions for once. Those are the moves that we usually used to our terrible GM making, and now we're able to take advantage of that from other terrible GMs around the league. So that's a great trade. Stillman, nice player, but we've got a bunch of nice players. So he didn't separate himself at all in the preseason. So it and Dickinson can kind of fill into that spot Boris Kachuk left wide open when he got hurt. So
yeah,
NHL maybe slightly below replacement level guy, another bottom six forward, not going to help you win many games. Thank you. And there it is. And Jared Tenorti today on claims is another depth defenseman, big physical guy. I saw him a lot in the AHL. He spent a few years with the Admirals when he was in the Predators. And if you know the AHL schedule, the Admirals play the Ice Hogs and the Wolves pretty much every day.
87 times a year.
Yeah, saw him a lot. Big physical guy, so he can replace that physicality you're going to miss with Stillman. Not a great actual defenseman, so he helps with the tank process too. So just a guy, a pulse, as Mario said, to keep some of these young guys in Rockford. It is clearly obvious that Kyle Davidson wants the young players to win in Rockford as opposed to getting their teeth kicked in on a nightly basis in Chicago.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense. It will make watching at least the early part of this season a little more painful. Like at least Reichel's here, at least Regula's here, whoever. We still don't really know how the roster is going to shake out. We should know later today. Hopefully during the show we'll find out. Maybe if Hawks practice ends, we'll get some news on that front.
Is it 3 p.m. that
I don't know.
rosters need to be finalized? It feels like it's always like mid-afternoon.
Yeah, that tracks. But the Hawks have been kind of slow on these things recently, so we'll see.
Well, yeah.
We'll see. But it is going to be tough to watch this team this year. But I do think as we watched the preseason and saw, okay, this team's going to be real effing bad. Maybe it is a good idea to keep them protected for a while. And look, maybe you've got some unhappy vets, guys that don't want to be here, guys who are going to pout and moan and whine and complain that things are not going the way they want it to go. And you don't want them in a toxic atmosphere until those vets can be moved out. So, lots to keep an eye on. But there's the news of the day. Also, Ben Pope, who is at practice in Colorado. We're leaving, by the way, tomorrow for Denver.
Yeah.
Here are the forward lines. Domi centering Athanasiou and Kane. Taves centering Radish and Tyler Johnson. Lafferty centering Kurashev and Entwistle. And Jujhar Khaira centering Colin Blackwell and Buddy Robinson, who cleared waivers today, right? He cleared waivers today? Yeah.
Clear waivers. They have 30 days to send him down to Rockford, or else he has to clear waivers again.
Yeah.
So I would imagine when Dickinson gets here, Robinson's probably gone.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Dickinson over. And the D pairings have been rotating, but interesting that McCabe and Murphy are in full contact sweaters. Could Jake McCabe play on Wednesday? That would be a huge upset.
I doubt it.
That'd be surprising.
Like, why, right? Like, what's the point of...
Right, yeah.
We talked to him after practice on... what day was that? Friday or Saturday? Friday. Yeah. I have no concept of time anymore. But when we were at practice on Friday, Jake McCabe, as always, makes himself readily available for the media after practice. And he was asked, hey, when are you going to return? And he's like, I'm not going to speculate on that. And then he was asked again, so do you think it's going to be opening night, in Chicago? And he says, guys, you know how this works. I'm not going to speculate on that. That's not my job. He says he feels good, but it's up to the doctors to give him the okay to play. But he wanted to go on the road trip, not necessarily as like, I want to play, but he wants to be there as part of the team. He wants to be there. These road trips are good for team bonding, especially at the beginning of the year. I think that's part of the reason why they went out there today and are practicing there all week before Wednesday's game. Luke Richardson hinted that after the San Jose game on Saturday, so possibly Sunday, they're going to have like a fun team day out. He didn't say what they were going to do, but they'll have some sort of bonding day. And being a veteran guy and being a leader that Jake McCabe is, doesn't surprise me that he wants to be there just to kind of assert himself as, hey, if you're a young guy and you're struggling, or you want, a guy to kind of lean on a little bit, he's going to put him that, be that guy. And they never officially ruled Murphy out for opening night. I pretty much expect him to play Wednesday night.
Yeah, it feels that way. And these guys like McCabe and Murphy and their leadership and their personalities are going to be important this year because they're positive. I think Jack Johnson probably falls into that category too, is a positive influence, someone who's going to try to keep the morale up. That's like we've talked about it all summer. Like that's going to be one of the bigger challenges for Luke Richardson is when things start to 5-6 losses in a row, and it's going to happen probably a couple times this year.
Right out of the
How
gate.
does he keep guys going? It's tough. So those veterans, those guys that want to be here and at least act like they want to be here, they're going to be hugely important to the first part of the season.
McCabe is a guy that, depending on who gets traded this season or who doesn't return next season, McCabe is a guy that definitely deserves an A on his sweater. He's got that presence in the locker room. Even when you walk in there after a practice or even a preseason game, and you just see him, like he's just, and the way he answers questions, he cares. Like he is a pro. And I think that, without naming specific names, there are other guys in that locker room that you don't get that same impression from, at least during the preseason. But he takes it very seriously. So he's a guy that, say 88 and 19 get traded before the deadline. I think he put one of those letters right on his sweater right off the bat.
Yep. Yeah, he was part of the leadership group in Buffalo for a few years too, and I mean, he endured some terrible years in Buffalo, so he's been through a season like we're expecting this season to be. He's been through that before a few times over, actually. But yeah, I think with McCabe, if he's sticking around, I think he's someone who can definitely help from a leadership standpoint. As far as playing though, like, I mean, he had spinal surgery. Like anytime you have surgery and spine in the same, medical procedure, like take your time. Like you don't necessarily have to, be ahead of schedule just to get on the ice. Obviously I'm saying that as a non-professional athlete, it's a different mentality, but he's a guy that has had some tough injuries. He had a knee injury 2 years ago that ended his season, and he was battling through it last year. And now he's had, spinal surgery in the off season, and, make sure that he's the Blackhawks medical staff needs to make sure that he's had enough time to fully get back and be ready to go. And if he's in a non-contact jersey, that's great. But yeah, I do not expect him to be in the lineup on a Wednesday. That would be very surprising. But yeah, if he's walking the red carpet in the lineup on the 21st when they open the home schedule against Detroit, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm down for that. But yeah, there's absolutely no reason to rush him. We need him for the playoff push.
Yeah.
For whom?
I've always said that NHL players walk a fine line between bravery and stupidity. So hopefully the doctors in the room are the ones that keep them on the right side of that line.
Well,
yeah. As long as it's not the Dolphins doctors.
So, yeah, some do, some don't.
Yeah. Our buddy Surfing Duck says, sheesh, don't play McCabe unless he's 100% healthy. He has some trade value. Don't risk him making his injury worse for a lost season, of course. Yeah, and I hope Jake realized that. Look, like, he's a proud guy. He's been working his ass off to play, and I think part of that is, like, hey, we appreciate how hard you've worked, and we see you. Thank you. Like, noted. But at the same time, we don't want you to come out here and play 3 games and then be back to square one. We want you back. We want you 100%. But the fact that he's in a contact jersey today, that's big news. It's huge for him. So I'm happy for him.
And he came to Chicago with so many expectations just of himself and like so much excitement. And then just the way last year went and how this year looks like it's going to go, like, I don't know. I really hope that he eventually, one way or another, finds himself in a successful situation, whether it's via trade or somehow he sticks it out here until the Blackhawks are ready to contend again.
Yeah. He had to have some sort of optimism because, as we all know, last season, Seth Jones and Marc-Andre Fleury and McCabe entered here, and you're like, hey, maybe for the first time in a long time, McCabe was like, maybe I'll get to the playoffs after all those bad years in Buffalo. And then
you buy a ticket, get the Game Time app.
Then you finish worse. Then you finish worse than the Sabres do last year, and you're like, "What am I doing, man?"
Yeah,
it's got to be frustrating.
Got a comment from MT Machine, says, watching live from Germany right now. You guys are honestly the thing about the Hawks I'm looking forward to the most this year. Oh, appreciate that. Thank you. And we're going to do our best to make these post-game shows and these podcasts in between as entertaining as they could be. You know, there's no point in lamenting what was the Corsi rating for Jason Dickinson. And it's just, it seems to be bad. So we're going to try to have some fun around it. And you guys being there with us will make it more fun. And we'll have more people to interact with. So we appreciate it early on. Lawrence is looking at us.
Do we think that's the Mario Tirabassi machine? What do we?
Oh, absolutely.
It is now.
He's tearing down trees in his yard.
Ooh, yeah, brother. Yeah. In Germany. Yeah. No, that is not my YouTube account.
Just checking.
Sure it's not.
Your
daughter's on YouTube a little early there, Mario. I'm going to say,
yeah.
You know, you got to protect these kids from social media.
Oh yeah, I know.
AJ had a comment earlier about let the disappointment begin. How are you going to be disappointed? You should have zero expectations, buddy. If you have zero expectations, you cannot be disappointed.
Speaking of that, did any of you guys, when the Dickinson for Stillman trade was announced, look at the Blackhawks Facebook page comments?
No,
I never.
You would think they traded prime Marian Hossa for like a 5th round pick. How could they do the continued ruining of the franchise? Like, really, we had a lot of Riley Stillman stands on Facebook. Apparently, like, what are we doing here? You just got a 2nd round pick and a human being for Riley Stillman, like
and a live human.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, Jason Dickinson comes with his own skates. It's a good deal.
Yeah, there were times I started typing. I'm like, no,
not worth it.
Setting a boundary. I'm not doing this right now. I'm not engaging on Facebook with Blackhawks fans.
I can't tell you the last time I've engaged in a Facebook conversation.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's good for you. All right, let's get to our predictions. But first, we want to tell you about all the meats from our friends at Green Ridge Farm. Local. You like local. You like meat. You like cheese. Well, if you're local, you're from Chicago. You probably do. And Green Ridge Farm is the place to get it. They're the makers of all natural deli meats, sausages, and of course their famous meat sticks, which are perfect for tailgating, school lunches, whatever your meat needs are. The meat sticks, they will fill that need for you. All natural, hardwood smoked for 8 hours, 16 grams of protein per stick, making it a perfect post-workout snack. I guess
it's perf.
They come in chicken, Black Forest beef, and flavors like jalapeno cheddar and spicy chili. And if you haven't had them yet, you don't know what you're missing. Again, they're recipes, generations in the making, all natural, fresh, flavorful alternatives at snack time. The meat sticks are awesome. Look in your grocer's freezer, Costco, Sam's Club, anywhere in Chicagoland. If they don't have them, ask for them. Ask for those Green Ridge Farm meat sticks. And right now, order any 3 meat products at greenridgefarm.com. Include a pack of meat sticks in your cart, and they will be free simply by using the code CHGO at checkout. Green Ridge Farm, simply natural meats.
I don't know if you guys know this, but it is October. The leaves are changing.
Confirmed.
They are falling. But the grass is still green. I can confirm that, at least in my yard. And the weather is holding out. Still golf weather, just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And if you want to look good out there on the course with the fall leaves changing as you're lining up your beautiful fairway shot, get yourself over to pinsandaces.com and get some Pins and Aces apparel, the official golf apparel partner of CHGO. They're also the presenting sponsor of the Big Drive Energy podcast on the All City Network. And their apparel is going to make you looking nice and clean out there on the course. They're a family-owned business, which you got to love. They make amazing polos, hats, golf bags, and even a beer sleeve that goes in the bag that can store up to 7 of your favorite beers inside your bag and keep them cold for the entire round, which is half the reason you go golfing, right? Have a nice couple drinks out on the course.
More than half for me.
Make you forget about shooting 100 through 14 holes. But check out pinsandaces.com. Use the promo code CHGO, and you're going to receive 15% off of your first order, and you're going to get free shipping. Again, that's pinsandaces.com with the promo code CHGO.
All right. Surf and Duck says, does Jay still feel this team might be too good to get a top 3 or top 5 pick? So I'm asking you guys, if I shave it, can I keep like a Fu Manchu situation.
Your coach Shooter look.
Yeah, I need to bring Coach Shooter back. It'll be April, right in time for softball to creep the girls out. It'd be a perfect time for Coach Shooter to make his return.
Perfect.
Is that count? Do I have to go full? Do I have to shave the whole thing off, or can I get a little creative with it? Can I do like a Lemmy sort of a situation?
If you want to go Hulk Hogan, Fu Manchu,
yeah, there you go.
I'll allow that.
All right, great.
Yeah. I feel like that's more embarrassing than being just clean shaven.
Oh, you don't see how good I look as Coach Shooter. I'm a different person.
By the way,
my alter ego.
I saw the Meat Needs open for Primus back in 03. They were fabulous live band.
Oh, on that, the other thing too is, where is Black Forest? I need to know where that is, because there's ham there, there's beef, like it's just like a forest filled with meat. It sounds amazing.
Isn't it right between? Isn't it just west of Lake Forest?
Maybe. Yeah, I'll see George McCaskey on his his Razor scooter.
It's just over the Green Ridge is the Black Forest.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. CHGO Sports, we know them. Reminding you to smash that like button on the YouTube page, and please subscribe to our channel for the best content from across the Chicago sports landscape. So yeah, make sure you always smash that like button on all of our YouTube videos. All right, let's get to our predictions. Fellas, where do you want to start? Do we want to do the player props first? Do we want to do the division predictions? I will give the floor to you two, and we can start where you like.
Let's do divisions.
All right.
Does that sound good?
We're gonna do our cup predictions too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So why don't we start with the Atlantic Division? Everyone's favorite.
Interesting.
It's a good one. Yeah. So we have the odds on the screen. If you're listening to the podcast proper, we'll fill you in. These are via our friends at PointsBet. Use that code CHGO when you sign up, of course. Maple Leafs plus 180, Panthers plus 225, Lightning plus 275, Boston plus 800, Ottawa plus 2,800, Detroit plus 3,000, Buffalo plus 6,600, and Montreal plus 10,000. So where are you guys going with the Atlantic Division this year?
I mean, it's tough to, man, it's really tough to believe in the Maple Leafs. Really is. And I don't think anyone of us does. But I'm also not sold on Florida. Like,
they didn't get better.
No, they didn't. Like you add Matthew Tkachuk, great, but you lose Huberdeau and Weegar. Like, man, I don't know. So I think I'll go with Tampa Bay. Honestly, that division is like those three are interchangeable. So I will go with Tampa Bay to come out of the Atlantic. I think their contending window is definitely still wide open.
Greg?
I'm going, as much as I love to rake on the Maple Leafs, I'm picking them to win the division just because it's Tampa Bay doesn't care about the regular season. They showed that last year. They finished third in the division. They just get us to the playoffs healthy. They're not going to overdo it to win a division. Florida, they had their shot last year and then choked it away. I'm not 100% sold on them yet either. So I'm going to give it to Toronto just because they are a really good regular season team. And, they probably figure, hey, let's not have to face Florida or Tampa in the first round and win the division. And then we can get one of those wild card teams. So I think they're going to go for it higher. They're going to try harder to win that division than those two Florida teams. So as far as my rank, top to bottom, I rank them. I've got Toronto, Florida, Tampa as the three playoff teams from there. I'm actually taking Ottawa to finish fourth and grabbing one of the wild card spots.
I could see it.
And then we get Boston, Detroit, Buffalo, and Montreal. Detroit and Buffalo kind of look like they're ready to turn a corner a little bit, but unfortunately for them, they're in such a crazy division that even with improvement, they're still not making the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Maple Leafs as well. I think they are really, really talented. We forgot how well they played in the playoffs until they got it. So a round one elimination, yes, but considering who they lost to, it's understandable. And I also think Kyle Dubas, he's on the hot seat. He is without a contract after this year, so maybe he'll grow a pair. And when it comes time to acquire a goalie or a top-notch defenseman at the deadline, he'll actually do it and improve his team instead of saying like, no, that's you're asking a way too high of a price for us to do that. And then a couple months later, you trade a first-round pick to the Hawks to take Peter Mrazek off your hands. You could have just traded a first-round pick and Peter Mrazek and gotten Marc-Andre Fleury last year. Yeah, but we'll see. I like Florida and Tampa is 2 and 3. I think Detroit's going to make the playoffs this year. I just think there's a buzz around them. There's a feel around them. They feel ready. And I'm going to think that they're going to be, you said Ottawa, Greg. I'm going to put Detroit as the 4th, and I'm going to give them the final wild card spot in the East. I think that it's their time. They've got a really good GM. I think that is now looking to add to make the team better when it comes playoff time. And they're pretty deep. And the thing to watch is going to be Dylan Larkin, because there's some pundits think that he's going to be traded. That was one of Frank Saravalli's bold predictions for the year. What a kick in the rocks to tolerate
that would suck.
Being the worst franchise in hockey for like a decade and then get traded as soon as they get good. But that would surprise me. I think Dylan Larkin is going to be a wing for life. And I don't know. I do not like the Red Wings, but I like hockey better when Detroit is relevant. Does that make sense?
So does Gary Bettman.
Yeah, I want the Red Wings to be a relevant team, so I can feel things about them again.
Right, exactly.
When they were so bad, I was like, meh.
And you need the Blackhawks to be relevant too, but
that would help.
But I feel like the Senators and the Red Wings are going to be contending for that like wild card 4th or 5th in the division spot. It's really interesting to see how those two teams play out, because they're kind of the two teams that are like driving the hype train right now. And
either of them could be last year's Hawks.
Sure, 100%. Yeah.
It's tough to prove. It's tough to pick against Boston, based on their track record. But Marchand's going to be gone for the first couple months of the season,
and Pasternak, right?
Yeah, those guys are going to be gone, and you're bringing back David Krejci, his corpse after a year away from the NHL, and Patrice Bergeron. I love him, but at some point, it's just going to stop working. I don't know how he keeps going, but who knows? But I think Boston's going to really miss how good of a coach they had behind the bench there, and not that Jim Montgomery's a slouch, but I think Cassidy is one of the more underrated coaches in the league, and they're going to miss what he brings to that team.
Yep. All right, let's go to the Metropolitan Division, if we may. Again, we're looking at points bet here for the odds. Carolina plus 180, Pittsburgh plus 275. Nope. Rangers plus 350, Islanders plus 800, Caps plus 850, Devils plus 1,600, Columbus plus 5,000, Philly plus 7,500. So, again, go ahead, fellas. Mario started off. Hello? Do we lose Mario?
I don't know.
Oh, I'll start it off then.
Okay.
There he is. Sorry. A little behind the scenes. My office is right above the garage, and the garage door was opening, so I was muted.
Good.
Sorry about that.
All right, go ahead. You got the
live podcasting.
It's all you, buddy.
Yeah.
You ready for the Metropolitan? Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Hurricanes. Even though EA Sports picked the Penguins to win the Stanley Cup, I'm gonna go with the Hurricanes. I think they're just a loaded team. It's really hard to see a lot of holes in their game, a lot of holes in their roster. It's another. The Eastern Conference has two of the toughest divisions. I think Hurricanes, Rangers, Penguins, Capitals. They're all up there. The Devils supposed to be better. I don't know. So it'll be a tough division. But I'm gonna go with the Hurricanes. I think that they're still a very good contending team. Probably poised for a deep playoff run as well.
I'm a big fan of the Hurricanes as well. I love them. They're my favorite Eastern Conference team. We'll talk about them a bit here in a few, but I'm going to pick the Rangers to win the division just because they've got the better goaltending for, those early regular season games. We saw what Igor Shesterkin could do last year. I mean, if it wasn't for him, those first couple months of the season, they probably wouldn't have even made the playoffs, let alone advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. I still like what they can do in the regular season. I think they're going to take a step back offensively, and they were off. For a while they were off. There's no way Chris Kreider scores 50 again, so they're going to have to find the offense from somewhere else. They brought in Vincent Trocheck, who to me is a guy like I've never understood the hype around him. It seems that he becomes invisible when it matters most. But we're talking about regular season, so I'm going to go with the Rangers. I'm going to have the Carolina Hurricanes behind them. I can't bet against Ovi. I think he's going to will his way to the Capitals into the playoffs by finishing third in that division. And then fourth place and the last wild card, I'm going to go with the Islanders. Got to remember, last year was an anomaly, I think, with them. Prior to that, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals back-to-back seasons, and then they had a season where, 13 straight on the road to start the season, didn't have their arena ready, ton of COVID problems and injuries. I still think they're gonna bounce back and get that other wild card spot. So for me, I don't have the Penguins or the Bruins in the playoffs, which is just so weird to say, because when was the last time that happened? But I'm done with the Penguins. I'm over them.
Long time.
They're fossils. I just can't see, so according, I'm saying it's over for them, so they'll probably win the division by 8 points.
I kind of agree with you on the Penguins. At some point, that's going to end, and these guys are just getting older. We're going to get to Chris Letang is still a Norris Trophy favorite. What are we talking about here? It's reputation stuff is driving me crazy. So I'm going Rangers to win it all. I just think not win it all, win the division. They're stacked. I still think they're hungry, right? It feels like they're unsatisfied with how things have gone for them. And that's another team I could see adding a pretty significant piece, maybe at the deadline, maybe Patrick Kane. Who knows? I'm giving the Rangers number 1, Hurricanes number 2. They're just so good. They're so deep. I just don't know if they have what it takes to get over that hurdle to win the division or to get to the Cup final. I like them second. I'm going to go with the Caps third as well. They are just always around. They're always pretty good. Ovechkin is still there and still relevant. I like him. And Greg, it's funny. I agree with you on the Islanders. They get to me. They're going to get that first wild card spot. Detroit will get the second. The Islanders are a good, solid team, poised for a bounce back. Last year was an anomaly because they played 7 months before they had a home game or whatever it was last year.
It's
pretty understandable to have the slow start they did.
They're the epicenter of COVID, for the first months of the season. So it was if you scored a goal, you tested positive the next day. That's how it worked there for 2 months.
Yeah. So it's tough. So the Islanders are going to be back, and I have them as the first wild card spot in the East. All right, let's move over to the Western Conference, the dancingest conference of them all, and we'll start with the Pacific. To me, this is Calgary and everybody else, right? And the Oilers, I suppose. I don't know why I can't believe in the Oilers. I don't know what it is,
because their problems from last year are the same as they were this year.
Let's give the odds.
Maple Leafs.
I broke the mold here. I got to give the odds again from PointsBet. Edmonton plus 200, Calgary plus 210, Vegas plus 400, Kings plus 400, Vancouver plus 1,000. Seattle plus 6,500, Anaheim plus 10,000, San Jose plus 15,000. Those are your PointsBet odds for the Pacific Division.
Pacific. Yeah, I'm a believer in the Flames. I think that they lost Gaudreau, they lost Tkachuk, they brought in Huberdeau, they brought in Weegar, and I think they got better. I think they got better as a team that'll be able to throughout the entire season be towards the top of the division and be able to outlast the Oilers in the division. And I think too, Calgary wants to be able to outlast teams in the playoffs. And I think that getting a guy like Huberdeau, getting a guy like Weegar, especially Weegar, is so underrated defensively. I think those are and Nazem Kadri. Yeah, exactly. Those are guys that you need in the playoffs. I know we're just picking the division here, but I have Calgary going pretty deep in the playoffs. I'm going to pick them to win. I think the Oilers will be a very close second. And I think the Ducks might surprise a few people this year. I think that they've got something building there. So I'm not going to say that they're going to be. I'm not going to lock them into a playoff position, but I think that they'll flirt with a wild card position this season and maybe even get it. But I think they're going to surprise some people.
Yes, I too have the Flames winning the division. I think, you lose Gaudreau, you lose Kachuk, but their roster now is much more suitable to what Daryl Sutter wants to play than it was a year ago. You've definitely got a little more edge, we've got more guys that want to play between the dots. So I think that's a good thing for Calgary. I think they're going to win the division. Oilers are going to get second. I still just don't believe in the goaltending and the defense up there. They're going to win a lot of games 6-5 like they've been doing, and that works to a certain point. I am going to pick the Anaheim Ducks to finish third in this division.
Wow,
that's my surprise pick of the year.
Put some money down there, buddy. That's big odds.
The rest of the division is freaking crap. It's garbage. They're gonna it's not good. So somebody's got to win those games, and I think the Ducks are gonna surprise some people if John Gibson can kind of sort of be like John Gibson from 4 years ago. They've got an edge.
Is he hurt to start the year? I thought I saw something that Gibson was hurt. I'll confirm that.
I don't know, sure. But if they get any kind of goaltending, because all right, the Kings. Everybody said, the Kings are done with their rebuild. They made the playoffs, but they won games because they had to. They didn't win that third spot. The Vegas Golden Knights lost it, essentially. Yeah. I think they take a step back. And
they lost on Athanasiou. I mean, how are they going to bounce back?
Right, that's your glue right there.
How do you replace him?
But I don't like Jonathan Quick bounced back and had an amazing year. Anze Kopitar had a career year at their ages. I don't see them repeating that performance. Our buddy Chris Dubio says don't sleep on the Knights with what goaltending. I don't see it. You got a bunch of old guys that like to get hurt. Jack Eichel is a peen, and he's going to be a peen. Like it's not going to work.
But they got Phil.
The Golden Knights are an overpaid, over the hill cap nightmare that is not going to make the playoffs. I'm going to love every second of it. I feel bad for maybe Logan Thompson, former Chicago Wolves legend. Logan Thompson can salvage some points. I don't buy it. It is. I completely admit that, Chris. I'm just not. And then Vancouver. They on paper
they got Riley Stillman now. Blackhawks legend just has Facebook. Canucks Cup favorites now.
I mean, they've got on paper they look good, but I don't know. It's still Vancouver. I like Thatcher Demko a lot. They got some nice players there. I picked them to make the playoffs last year, and they burned me. So they're not getting that 2 years in a row. So I'll eat crow when the Ducks don't make the playoffs, but that's my surprise pick. And the Sharks are bad, but looking to get better eventually. And that's it. Seattle should be better. They should be fun to watch with Matty Beniers and Shane Wright playing and some of their other young players, but they're not going to contend for a playoff spot.
No, I agree with that. All right, I'm going to go Flames first for all the reasons that I think it's funny they lose Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau and feel at least as good, maybe better than they were losing those two guys, which is kind of amazing. Fantastic job by their leadership to get this thing, to not just give up and pout and moan on what went wrong for them and to go out there and get people to make them remain competitive. Love that. You love to see that from your GM. Mm-hmm. Oilers second, just because they are loaded with talent. I'm going to give the Kings number 3. I do think they were a better team than maybe they got credit for. And I agree with you, Greg. Yes, I think the Knights lost the division, but the Kings that arrow is pointed up. And I do think there'll be another little bit of a jump this year. And I'm with you on the Ducks. I'm with you. Like good, young, exciting players. I don't know. I think they could surprise some people. They're not going to win anything of note, but I think they're going to be a playoff team. So I'm taking the Ducks to finish 4th.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Yeah, I do like the Kings. I think the Kings will make the playoffs. I think if Jonathan Quick holds up, that'll definitely help. But I think adding a guy like Kevin Fiala to the roster is an improvement. You get some more experience for some of their young guys coming up, and I think they have a solid team that can at least get a wild card, maybe the third spot. And I believe in them a little bit.
All right, let's go to the Central Division, home of your Chicago Blackhawks. The 1- odds in the entire thing on PointsBet. The Avalanche are minus 180 to win the Central. That is remarkable.
For good reason.
Minnesota plus 350, Nashville plus 800, Dallas plus 1400, St. Louis plus 1500, Winnipeg plus 3000, and the Coyotes and Blackhawks plus 30,000. Lay a buck down. You never know.
Yeah, right. It's $1.
Yeah, seriously.
$1.
I don't. Yeah, I think we all agreed on who's going to win this. Division.
Yep. Yeah. Our friends at DNVR are going to have another Central Division banner to raise.
Yep.
I think so. Even with a Stanley Cup hangover, they're by far the best team in this division. It's the Avs and everybody else.
Yeah. So who's everybody else? Where are we looking, Mario? What do you have? Avs on the top for all three of us. How about 2, 3, and 4?
I think the Wild are a solid team at number 2. And then after that, besides, Arizona and Chicago, roll the dice.
Yeah, really.
It feels very interchangeable between Winnipeg and Nashville and Dallas and St. Louis. Like any of those 4 could be the third place team. I don't believe in Winnipeg. I think there's too many like off ice things going on with that team to really have a cohesive unit.
Weird,
and I just don't think that they're talented enough. But if you're putting me to it, I would say it'll be Avs, Wild. I'll put the Blues third. Yeah, Blues third. And then I'll go Stars, Preds, Jets. And then I really think the Blackhawks. I mean, yeah, the Coyotes are terrible. We know that. But looking at the preseason, looking at the way that the roster is shaping up for Chicago, and looking at the fact that it basically seems like they're not going to bring up any of the young. It's kind of panning out, so they're probably not going to bring up many of the young players early on in the season to be an injury replacement or as a call up or anything like that. It really feels like those depth guys are going to be the ones playing those roles. I think Chicago is going to be last in the division. I really think they're going to out suck the Coyotes, and maybe they break 60 points. Maybe
that will almost certainly be best for worst in the league.
Oh yeah. It's those two and everybody else as far as the bottom goes.
I agree.
And the Coyotes just picked up Connor Ingram, goaltender, off of waivers today, and he automatically becomes their best goalie.
He does. I like Connor Ingram.
I do too. I've always been a fan. He was great with the Admirals for a couple of years in the AHL.
Yeah,
I think he may have just literally. I'm not even being a smart ass when I say this. He made that pickup may have just given him like an extra 4 or 5 points this season.
Yeah,
and that could be all it takes.
Could be the difference. Could be the difference.
Yeah, when you're only getting 60,
right? he could
10% of your points almost.
10, yeah. So, all right, I have the Avs. I'm picking the Dallas Stars to finish second in this division, just because I think it's going to be it's going to be so clumped up after that, and I think Pete DeBoer does what Pete DeBoer does. He overachieves in the regular season for his first couple seasons until the sad Phil Collins routine gets old and he's gone. But he's got veteran players, and he seems to get a lot out of those types of guys. So I think Pete DeBoer gets the Stars in second place. Third place, I have the Wild. I don't love the Wild, but again, everybody's so even. And then I have the Blues in fourth and the Predators in fifth. Both of those teams getting the wild card. I think both wild cards are coming out of the Central. And then I have the Jets, who would be in last place in any other division in the league except for the Central.
Yeah.
You don't count out the Jets for making Blackhawk and Coyotes fans a little nervous down the stretch for that first overall pick. I don't buy it. They got a lot of guys there that don't want to be there. And they got a coach that just meh. And so I'm not buying them. Connor Hellebuck is really good though, and he's going to steal them a lot of games that they don't deserve to win. So that's why I think they're going to make us nervous, but they won't actually be serious contenders for the Tankathon. And then I have the Yotes and our Blackhawks in last place. I don't know if it's more wishful thinking, but this Blackhawk team can't score goals. They're not going to score goals, and their offense is going to get worse after the trade deadline. So It's going to come down to the final couple of games of the season, but I think the Blackhawks pull off the suckathon and finish dead last.
Yeah. All right. That's I love that. So yeah, I got the Avs first, of course. I'm going to go Minnesota second. I still think they're a strong team. They are just cap screwed for the rest of eternity, but I still think the roster is pretty solid. So I'll have them finishing second. And you guys are right. Like the rest of it's kind of a toss up. I just like the way the Blues are built. They're physical. They're north and south. You know what I mean? They're the kind of team that can upset some people in the playoffs. So I'll give them third. Why not?
They have some talent.
Yeah. And I think, Dallas is probably the fourth best team. And then it's the Jets and I think probably Predators, Jets, Coyotes, and Hawks will be the order. But yeah, I kind of like what you're saying, Greg, where both teams in the wild card could come out of the Central. I could certainly see that. I do think the Ducks will be good, but maybe not good enough to be as good as like the Blues or the Stars or whoever you want to put in that second wild card spot.
Yeah,
the
they
Predators, probably won't be that good, that competitive.
The Predators would finish in third place in the Pacific without a doubt.
No doubt.
They've got better goaltending than anybody in that division. Maybe outside of Calgary, they've got better goaltending. So,
maybe better than Calgary.
Maybe I like Jacob Markstrom a lot, but it's pretty close. But yeah, other than that, they've got their Yushi Saros is head and shoulders above any other goaltender in that division. So yeah, I think both wild cards are out of the Central. 5 playoff teams out of the Central this year.
All right, let's do our why don't we just say who we think is going to be in the Stanley Cup final and who's going to win?
I think the Cup final is going to be Colorado out of the West. Big shocker, right?
What?
I think Colorado comes out of the West, and then out of the East, I think out of the East we are going to get.
It's tough.
I don't want to say it's a rematch, but I feel like it could end up being a rematch.
Sure, it could. Of course, it could.
And I feel like it's. Do I believe that Carolina is the best team of the East? Probably not. And I think when you get to the playoffs, battle tested, it's hard to for the Lightning, if they were to go to 4 straight Cup finals, in this day and age of the NHL, like that is impressive. But I think they could do it. So I'm gonna say we have a Cup final rematch. I'm gonna say Colorado. I don't think they're going to cakewalk the Western Conference like they did last year, but I think they'll get through the Western Conference playoffs, and then Tampa Bay will have a battle to get out of the East, but I think that they can do it.
All righty, I have a completely different matchup. As much as I love the Avs and they're probably the best team on paper, it is so tough to repeat. It is so tough to even get to the Stanley Cup Finals. It's what Tampa Bay has been doing has been remarkable. It doesn't happen very often. In the end, I don't think Colorado has the goaltending to get through another 3 rounds of the playoffs and win in the Western Conference. Not that they had spectacular goaltending last year, but this year they lost a little. They lost a lot in Nazem Kadri. He won't be in the playoffs. I just don't buy the Valery Nichushkin thing. I think that was a fluke playoff run. If he doesn't do what he did last year and Kadri not there, who's making up those points? That's why I think it will be a return trip to the Stanley Cup final for one Nazem Kadri. I'm picking the Calgary Flames to make the Stanley Cup final. I think this is their year. I think they built their roster that is better for playoff hockey, better for the kind of hockey Daryl Sutter wants to play, and we know that he knows how to win playoff hockey. I think it's their year. They get out of the West, and they're going to take on the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't love that pick. The East is so tough.
It's hard.
But I think, it's finally the year they get over the hump. If Freddie Anderson can stay healthy for the playoffs, if they have Freddie Anderson in goal and he's at the top of his game, they're deep, very deep. And they don't have to make a big trade deadline acquisition this year because they're going to get Max Pacioretty back around mid-January. You don't have to go out and acquire a big name forward. You already did, and he'll be back and hopefully fresh for the playoffs and be able to score some goals for you. So I think they've improved. They added Brett Burns, who's got playoff experience. Our guy Calvin DeHaan is back there. They've added some nice players there. Paul Stastny is in Carolina, that's a good player to have come playoff time. So I think they're a better team than they were last year once they get everybody there and healthy. They make it to the Cup final, but they fall short. I am picking the Calgary Flames to be the 2023 Stanley Cup champions.
The Canadian drought.
I'm on it. I just want to see those uniforms through 4 rounds of the playoffs.
It's true.
I like that pick. It's a very compelling argument. But I just look at Colorado and a team that is going to be aggressive at the deadline. Another one that's been attached to Patrick Kane for months now. I mean, could you imagine adding Patrick Kane to that lineup? Unbelievable. You're right about the goaltending, but I think they've got the firepower, to make up for it. And you're talking about Cale Makar now, who's just entering his prime, which is crazy to think because he was one of the best players in the world last season. I think Colorado is going to win the West. It's going to be tough. Calgary, I think, is going to make the conference final, and it's just going to be a freaking war between those two teams. And I will be rooting for Calgary, but my heart says Calgary, my head says Colorado. And in the East, it's very tough. I think Toronto is going to make it.
Oh, man.
I think they're going to do something incredibly bold at the deadline that's going to screw their franchise for a long time. But I think they're going to do something ballsy. They know they have not been this close in probably 20 years, maybe more than that. And the pressure's on that entire group to freaking win something. I think the Leafs are going to win the East and get destroyed by Colorado in the Cup final. And what I'm hoping for actually is that they lose the Cup final in the most painful way possible, like a Nick Leddy off the butt situation, something like that, right? But I think Toronto is going to win the East this year, just because I really believe they hopefully learn their lesson from not being aggressive enough last year at the deadline. They're going to do something incredibly bold. I don't know what it is yet, but something. And they're going to make it to the Eastern Conference. They're going to be the Eastern Conference champions.
You're officially a member of the national media, Jay. Congratulations.
No, delete that. No. Oh,
yeah, I will.
I hate myself now. Now I can bitch about press box food. What?
There you go.
This again? Steak again? This is ridiculous that I have to tolerate this.
Well, all three of us can bitch about the airport tomorrow, so that'll be
there you go.
Official.
You go.
Yeah, I will. I forgot to say I will take Colorado to top the Lightning in my Cup final. Sorry, Tampa Bay, you lose again.
All right, let's Greg, let's tell people about FOCO, and then we'll get to our player props and wrap this bad boy.
No matter who you want to root for come playoff time, it won't be the Blackhawks, but no matter who you want to root for, you can go get yourself some of their gear over at our friends at FOCO. We've already got you covered with the best sports coverage for your favorite team. So how about you get fitted out in the best sports gear around? FOCO has you covered from the United Center to your front room with hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. I bet you those banana hammocks and Crocs are on sale now that we've turned from summer to fall. But get decked out like your favorite postseason award candidate from the leader in sports and merch and collectibles, FOCO. That's FOCO. If you're looking for the perfect gift for the hockey fan in your life, FOCO's got you covered with hoodies that will keep you cold or keep you warm. You don't want to be cold in the hoodie. They will keep you warm even if you're sitting up close to the ice at the United Center. Use Game Time. It's in the description. Buy your tickets close to the ice. So check out FOCO.com, FOCO, or click on the link in the description. And for all pre-sale items, use the promo code, I can speak today, CHGO, for an extra 10% off all non-sale items.
All right, let's get to these pretty quickly because we are running out of time, and I know Law's got a lot of stuff to do. Let's start with the Calder Trophy odds for this season for Rookie of the Year. Our buddy Lucas Reichel is on the list, but not in the top 10. So top 10, Mason McTavish plus 400, Owen Power plus 450, Matty Berniers plus 500, Cole Perfetti plus 1,000, Kent Johnson plus 1,200, William Ekman plus 1,400, Yuri Slafkovsky plus 1,400, Marco Rossi plus 1,600, kind of like that one, Jack Quinn plus 1,600, and Jake Sanderson plus 1,800, Lucas Reichel plus 4,000. And you have to wonder, had he started the season on the Hawks, that number would have been higher. I would think so.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ain't going to be Lucas Reichel. I like Mason McTavish. I think he had a fantastic showing at the World Juniors in the summer, literally saving the Canadian gold medal. But yeah, he just
if you will.
He just looked just looked really good. I think he's primed to break out as a rookie. A lot of great rookies on. I mean, there's really not a bad pick in that whole top 10 group. So, but I think McTavish is going to be a big reason why the Ducks might surprise people this year, and I think he's going to be pretty darn good.
Yeah, I like him as a favorite too, but my pick to win is Marco Rossi of the Minnesota Wild. I just think he's going to be able to get in and get in a prime position right off the bat and put up some major points. I think he's a terrific player. That's my pick.
I agree with you on that. I will be putting money down on Rossi because I like the odds.
It's good value.
Mason McTavish is a man among boys, and he just looks like he's been in the NHL for 5 years already. And I think he's going to step in and just be a stud and kind of run away with it, assuming health, of course. But I just love his game. You watch him in the championships, it's like, look at that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want one of those on my team. Like he's just that good. So I'm taking Mason McTavish. Who's the favorite? It's kind of boring, but I do like that Rossi. I think it was plus 1,600, right?
Yeah, that's really good. That's good value.
Yeah, I'm gonna just throw $10 down on that and see what happens because that sounds fun. And when you do throw money down, use PointsBet promo code CHGO when you sign up for the first time for 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Let's move on to the Norris Trophy for the league's best defenseman. No surprises here. Cale Makar, the overwhelming favorite, plus 110. Roman Josi, plus 700. Victor Hedman, plus 800. Charlie McAvoy, plus 1,600. I don't know why this is out of order. Adam Fox, plus 900. It's very weird. Aaron Ekblad, plus 1,200. Quinn Hughes, plus 2,200. Miro Heiskanen, plus 2,500. Moritz Seider, plus 2,500. And Chris Letang, for some reason, plus 2,500. Seth Jones comes in at plus 5,000 to win the Norris. I think if he's healthy, Makar's going to win it. But I do like Josi. Those plus 700 odds are tempting because if Makar misses a chunk of time and with the way he plays, with all that speed and playing all over the ice, there's a chance he takes a hit. He's not the biggest guy in the world. I wouldn't mind throwing a couple bucks down on Josi. I think Makar's going to win it, but that's plus 700 is a nice number.
Yeah, if you're looking for value, Josi at plus 700 and Hedman at plus 800, I think are really good. But I'm going to go with Makar. Like until my eyes tell me differently that he's not the best defenseman in the league, you can make an argument for maybe best player in the league.
Yeah, you can.
I'm picking Cale Makar.
Yep. Give him the Norris now. Just give him now. It's his trophy.
It's like it should be like a championship belt. It's yours until it's not.
Yeah.
Until someone takes it from you.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not happening this year. Best defenseman in the league, and it's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's move on to the Richard Trophy for the league's leading scorer. Not a huge surprise here. Austin Matthews plus 180. Leon Draisaitl plus 600. Connor McDavid plus 700. That's interesting. Alex Ovechkin plus 1,000. Kyle Connor plus 1,300. Kirill Kaprizov plus 1,400. DeBrincat plus 1,400. Barkov plus 1,900. Rantanen plus 2,000. And Jason Robertson, him of the New Deal, plus 2,200. Not the New Deal like the political.
Yeah,
he has a new deal, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So this is for most goals in the league, correct?
Yeah.
I said score, but yes, I meant goal scorer. Yes.
Yeah, most goals.
Alex Ovechkin at plus 1,000, man. That's nice.
That's tempting.
It's good value. I mean, what else is he going to focus on other than trying to break Gretzky's record now?
Nothing.
You know.
And it's a team, even though I think a couple of us like them as a playoff spot, there's not a lot of expectations for them this year. They're not cup contenders. So the goal is going to be, let's get this record for Ovechkin. Shoot all the time. You're playing full power plays. I think taking him as a top goal scorer it's a nice value.
My pick.
It's good
that's
value.
My pick.
Yes.
Not just my bet, but that's my pick to lead the league in goals this year. I think that he's going to do it. I mean, why not? What else? As you said, all he's going to do is shoot.
Yeah, I think Ovechkin at plus 1,000 is good value. Kyle Connor at plus 1,300 is also pretty good value, like sneaky value there. But
what about Chris Kreider? Where's he?
Yeah, not even in the top 10. That's how much his 50 goal season really is gonna confidence in that. I hate to go favorite again, but man, Austin Matthews can just score in so many different ways. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Matthews. I feel like McDavid and Draisaitl kind of cancel each other out, even though they're, the best two forwards on their team playing off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think either one of them is primarily like the goal scorer like Austin Matthews is.
Good point. I like that pick. I'm just going to not take the chalk, and I already feel bad about picking the Leafs to win the East, so I can't do it. I like Kaprizov. I just think that he is still very young, but just a pure sniper goal scorer. I'll take Kaprizov to win it.
He's got half a dozen games against the Blackhawks this year. That'll help.
Yeah.
And those will be the Alex Stalock games to get revenge against his old squad. That would not be the worst thing in the world. All right, let's move on to the Hart Trophy for League's Most Valuable Player. Top 10, McDavid plus 225, Matthews plus 390, Draisaitl plus 900, McKinnon plus 900, Rantanen plus 3,000, Kaprizov plus 1,400, Barkov plus 3,000, Huberdeau plus 3,500, Kucherov plus 2,000, Shesterkin plus 2,000, Patrick Kane coming in at plus 10,000 to win the Hart Trophy. So a long shot there. Nathan McKinnon plus 900. Sign me the F up.
Yes.
Yeah, I will take that bet all day and twice on Sunday.
I will definitely put $1 on that. As far as value and the most likelihood of something happening, of him winning, I would go with Nathan McKinnon. And you know what? I'm going to make that my pick too. Nathan McKinnon.
Greg,
I'm going off the board. My guy to pick to win the Hart isn't even on that list, which means his odds have got to be really good, which is silly to me.
Jared Tenorti.
I'm going dual trophy winner. Cale Makar is winning the Hart and the Norris this year.
Oh yeah, wait.
Makar wasn't even on there.
Exactly, he wasn't even on there. So if he's over plus 2,000, I am jumping all over that.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, wait a minute. That went over my head. I didn't.
It's almost as if hockey doesn't matter to some places.
So, are they just saying that he's just? You can't say he's off the board because he still had odds.
I'm looking at Hart Trophy. Cale Makar is plus 1,400. So I don't know why this is not sorting in order. So he's plus 1,400 on this thing.
That's weird. Okay,
so,
well,
pretty good
there you
odds.
go.
That's a good value pick. I'm going to still go with McKinnon, but that's a great value pick for Makar. Oof, 1,400.
I feel like this is the year where the league's like, look at this guy, Cale Makar, pretty cool, huh? Let's give him all the awards, and then next year he's going to be not winning anything because people are going to have Cale Makar fatigue.
Yeah,
right. They'll go back to giving it to Connor McDavid for the next 4 years.
Right, because Connor McDavid fatigue is sunk in.
Right.
And people are like, oh, again? Well, yes, he's that effing good. He'll probably be on the Mount Rushmore when it's over, right? Like, he's that great of a player. He deserves it, but people do just kind of like, get burned out of voting for like, you could have made the argument that Duncan Keith could have won 5 or 6 in a row, Norris trophies.
Right.
But just people just get tired of voting for the same thing. So, all right, we got an interesting Patrick Kane note on there too. Patrick Kane points for the season. This is another points bet prop. They have 83.5 as the over under. Both odds set at minus 115. I'm going under 83.5. I think that it's going to be maybe 80, somewhere around there. But my God, he's going to have to do it all. And I was thinking about this morning. We keep saying like, well, beyond Kane and Taves, where's the scoring depth? Take Taves off that list.
Yeah, part of that.
He's on that list on name alone.
Exactly right.
It's reputation. We were talking about that earlier.
My thought is under, but what if Kane is moved before the trade deadline to a contender?
That's if he gets moved.
If he gets moved to like Valentine's Day to the Rangers or Avalanche
or New Year's or whatever,
have 30 points in 15 games or something like that. Yeah, that's certainly a possibility.
I'm gonna say over. I'm gonna say over.
Okay.
If he plays all 82 games with the Blackhawks, I'm going under.
Oh, that's
if he doesn't play, if he gets traded and he's in a contender, I'm going over.
Let's do this then. Let's create our own prop. Points per game as a Blackhawk. The over/under is 1.
Under.
Yeah. I take the under because I don't even know if the Blackhawks are going to average a goal a game.
That would be something.
So even if he assists on every single goal, and they're only averaging 0.97 per game, the math don't check out.
That's a fair point.
True. Yeah,
fair point by you.
I say under a point per game.
I go under, barely under.
All right, we got one more real quick, and Alex DeBrincat goals prop via PointsBet. They have 37.5 for DeBrincat, both odds set at -115. Hey, that's a good number.
I mean, he's definitely the trigger man of that team.
Yeah, but I'm going to go under. I'm thinking 33-34 for DeBrincat this year.
I'm going to say over. I think he flirts with 40.
Greg?
Man, that's right about where he should be. I mean, that's
that's a really solid number.
I'm gonna go over. I think he'll get 38 or 39. He's gonna get he's gonna be the Alex Ovechkin of Ottawa on the power play.
He's the shooter on that team.
Yeah.
I think he could score up to 15 power play goals or more this year just by blasting from the left dot. So I'll go over.
All right. There you have it. Our season predictions for the year. Tomorrow we are in Denver.
Woo.
Doing a crossover show with our friends at DNVR. That's the plan for now. And then we'll have your post-game show on Wednesday from the DNVR bar. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are very much looking forward to this trip. Our first trip is a group together. It's going to be awesome. So hopefully you'll join us tomorrow night. We'll have more official show times later today or maybe tomorrow afternoon. So just keep your eyes peeled for show times. But we'll share all of our info about our trip to Denver. So we're leaving tomorrow afternoon, show tomorrow night. Wednesday post game. Thursday, we're flying home in the afternoon. Hawks play that night, late night in Vegas. We'll be on post game remotely Thursday night after Hawks and Golden Knights. So you missed us. You're gonna be tired of us in a couple days. So we appreciate everybody joining us. All the great participation in the chat. Yes, Lawrence.
What's the hotel situation? You guys gonna have one big king size bed, and it's like the Three Stooges, or
it's like it's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We sleep toe to toe.
We're actually gonna be sleeping in the beer cooler at the DNVR bar. That's where we're at.
Yeah, no, we have an Airbnb, my friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna
spoiling us. I guess the bosses figure you're gonna have to watch awful hockey all year. We're gonna get you a nice B&B to start the season and let it all go downhill from there.
Yes. Anyway, it's going to be awesome. Can't wait.
If the beds aren't bunked, we will bunk them for more space for activities.
Yeah, so much room for activities.
Awesome. For a good game of kneesies.
Yeah. So, all right. Thanks for your participation. Make sure if you haven't yet, you're on YouTube, smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We greatly appreciate that. And throw us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts if you have 30 seconds to spare. So we'd appreciate that as well. We'll talk to you Tuesday night from the DNVR Sports Bar. Cannot wait. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.